Hey everyone, welcome back to Fluent English. You know that feeling when you're trying to speak English and it feels like you just hit a wall? Like the words won't come out? Well, today we're going to talk about exactly that. Yeah, we'll talk about how you can start thinking in English and why that's really important for speaking more smoothly.
That's so interesting, right? Because when we learn a new language, the first thing we usually do is try to translate everything in our heads, like translating word for word from our native language.
Oh, I totally know that feeling. I remember one time I was in Italy and I was trying to order some food. I knew exactly what I wanted to say in my head, but the Italian words just wouldn't come out. I was too busy translating the menu in my mind, word by word.
Oh, yeah, I think everyone has experienced that at some point.
It felt pretty awkward, I have to say.
Yeah, that mental translation step really slows everything down. You get so focused on finding the perfect word or the perfect grammar that you lose the natural rhythm of the conversation. It doesn't feel smooth.
It's like you're driving a car, but you forgot to release the parking brake. You can move, but it's slow and difficult.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
So, how do we release the brake then? How do we actually start thinking in English instead of just translating?
Well, the very first step is just to notice when you're doing it. You need to become aware of that moment when your brain starts translating. Just catching yourself is a big first step.
Okay, I get that. Notice the translating. But what do you do next? Can you just force your brain to think in English instead?
Ha, I wish it was that simple. It's more about retraining your brain, little by little. Think about how we learned our first language as kids. We didn't learn grammar rules first, right? We learned by just being around the language all the time. We were immersed.
Yeah, that makes sense. The language was just everywhere. So, you're saying we need to create that kind of environment for English? An English bubble?
Exactly. Surround yourself with English. Watch movies or TV shows in English, listen to English music or podcasts. You can even change the language settings on your phone or computer to English.
So, even if I don't understand everything at the beginning, just having English around me all the time will start to help.
Absolutely. Your brain starts to get used to the sounds and the patterns.
Okay, that sounds like a good passive way to learn. But what about actively practicing thinking in English?
Have you ever tried talking to yourself in English?
Well, maybe sometimes in the shower. You know, where nobody can hear me.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I mean. Just try describing your day, what you're doing, or even just your thoughts, but say them out loud in English.
So, kind of like being your own sports commentator for your life. And I guess it feels safer because nobody is listening, so it's okay if I make mistakes.
It's a totally safe space to practice. No pressure.
I've also heard that visualizing words can help, like seeing the word in your mind.
Yes, that's another great tip. When you learn a new word, try to picture the object or the action in your mind as you say the word. It helps build a stronger connection.
That makes sense. What about writing? Does writing in English help too?
Oh, for sure. Keeping a simple journal in English is a fantastic idea. It doesn't have to be perfect writing. Just get your thoughts down on paper in English. Focus on expressing yourself.
And visual cues? Like things you can see?
Yeah, the brain loves connecting words with images. You could put sticky notes on things around your house with their English names, like table, chair, mirror, refrigerator.
Ah, like creating a live visual dictionary in your own home.
Exactly.
Okay, what else? Any more tips?
You could also try practicing talking in front of a mirror.
Like pretending I'm giving a speech or something?
Sort of. Or just having a simple conversation with yourself.
Just talking to myself in the mirror. Okay, I can see how that might help you feel more comfortable hearing yourself speak English out loud.
Hearing it out loud is key, right?
Okay, good point. Now, let's talk about maybe the biggest problem people have when they try to think in English.
Okay, let's do it.
The fear of making mistakes.
Oh, that fear. It's a big one.
It's so powerful, it can completely stop you from even trying to speak.
Exactly. You start thinking too much, worrying about grammar, or if your pronunciation is perfect, and then you just freeze up. You get stuck.
Right, total freeze.
But here's the important thing to remember mistakes are going to happen, they are unavoidable. Really, everyone makes mistakes, even native speakers.
So you're saying we should just accept that we'll make mistakes? Maybe even embrace them?
Exactly. Mistakes are just part of learning. It's proof that you're trying. The goal isn't perfection, especially at first. The goal is communication, being understood. Don't let the fear of mistakes stop you from talking.
It's like learning to ride a bike, right? You're probably going to fall a few times before you get the hang of it.
That's a perfect analogy.
But if you keep trying, eventually it starts to feel natural.
Yes, it does.
Okay, so mistakes are our friends, not our enemies. But what happens when you're in a conversation and you know the word you want, but it just disappears? Your mind goes blank.
I hate when that happens.
It's like there's just emptiness in your brain where the word should be.
It's that tip of the tongue feeling. Yeah, it happens.
It's the worst.
Don't panic. Instead of just stopping, try to describe the word using other words you do know. Explain the idea around it.
Like playing a game of charades or taboo with yourself?
Exactly like that.
That's actually a really good idea.
And it keeps the conversation going, which is important.
True. And speaking of changing how we think, it's also important to let go of trying to be perfect all the time.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Because often
Perfectionism.
it holds us back so much.
Totally. To become,
Fluent,
we often think fluency means being absolutely perfect. But
like a native speaker.
yeah, but even native speakers make small mistakes sometimes. Having an accent or making a small grammar error is okay. What matters most is getting your message across. Can people understand you?
That's really true.
So be kind to yourself. Focus on your progress, not on being perfect right away. Little improvements are still improvements.
It's like dancing. You don't need to know every single step perfectly to enjoy the music and move to the rhythm.
That's a great way to think about it.
So let's agree to accept being imperfect and actually have fun with the language.
Absolutely. Let's enjoy the process.
Okay, how can we make thinking in English more enjoyable? Because if it feels like hard work all the time, we'll probably stop doing it.
That's a great point. You need to find things you genuinely like and do them in English. Connect English to your interests.
So instead of just studying boring textbooks, maybe read about things I actually care about, but in English?
Exactly. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows in English. If you're into fashion, read English fashion blogs or magazines. Use English to explore your hobbies.
Turn your hobbies into English lessons. Clever.
And this connects to another important skill, active listening.
You mean not just hearing the English words, but really paying attention to how native speakers actually use the language?
Precisely. Active listening isn't just about understanding the words, it's about noticing the intonation, how the voice goes up and down, the rhythm, the pauses people use, even the small changes in tone that show feelings or meaning.
Like listening to music. You don't just hear the individual notes, you hear how they fit together to make a melody and create a feeling.
That's a perfect comparison. And the more you practice active listening, the better you get at noticing these details. Slowly, you start to get a feel for what sounds natural in English.
So, how do you practice active listening? Just sit in a coffee shop and eavesdrop on people?
Ha, you could, but there are more focused ways. Choose audio material you find interesting. Podcasts, audiobooks, TED Talks are great. Then, instead of just having it on in the background, really listen. Try to understand the main ideas. Pay attention to the speaker's voice. Notice how they connect their ideas. Don't be afraid to rewind and listen again if something is difficult.
Okay, I see. Really focus.
Or you can often slow down the playback speed if it's too fast. Most podcast apps and video players have that option now.
Like hitting pause in a movie to really take in a scene.
Exactly.
Okay, active listening. Got it. But what about when you just feel overwhelmed? Like there's so much English to learn?
Oh, I definitely know that feeling.
It can feel like trying to climb a huge mountain that never ends.
But you don't have to climb the whole mountain at once. Break it down into small, manageable steps, little pieces.
So instead of trying to memorize the entire dictionary, maybe just focus on learning words and phrases for everyday situations first?
Yes, start small. Even learning 5 or 10 new useful words or phrases each day makes a difference over time.
The key is consistency, doing a little bit often.
It's like building a house brick by brick. Each individual brick might seem small, but together they build a strong wall.
That's a great image. Okay, so far we have immersion, surrounding yourself with English, talking to yourself, journaling, writing, using visual cues like sticky notes, active listening, and breaking learning into small steps. What else can help?
Here's a really simple but useful tip. Set reminders for yourself.
Reminders? Reminders for what?
Reminders to think in English. Set an alarm on your phone a few times a day. Put a sticky note on your computer or fridge. Anything that just gives you a little nudge.
So we're basically tricking our brain, or reminding our brain, to switch into English mode more often during the day.
Yeah, just little prompts throughout the day. I like it. And it's also important to remember you're not alone on this journey. There are tons of resources out there.
That's true. Online communities, language exchange partners, learning apps. There's a lot of help available.
And sometimes just talking to someone else who understands the challenges of learning a language can be really motivating.
Like having your own personal support group.
Exactly.
We've talked about a lot of techniques, but what are some common difficulties people face when they try to make this switch?
I think one of the biggest ones is simply forgetting to try thinking in English. We're so used to our native language, it takes conscious effort to switch.
The brain just defaults to what's easy and familiar.
Exactly. It's the path of least resistance.
So, how can we remind ourselves more often?
Like we just said, those reminders.
Those little nudges.
And creating visual triggers can help too.
Like what?
Maybe those sticky notes around the house with English words, or even simple reminder phrases like think in English.
Or maybe wear a simple bracelet that reminds you.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
Another problem is feeling overwhelmed, right?
Oh, yeah, it can feel like you need to learn all of English right now.
That feeling can be paralyzing.
But remember, you don't have to learn everything at once. Step by step.
Take small bites.
Focus on common, everyday vocabulary first, then slowly expand from there.
And it's important to celebrate the small wins, right?
Definitely. This is a journey, not a race. Acknowledge your progress along the way.
Enjoy the process. Don't just focus on the final destination.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the benefits of thinking in English. When things get tough, it helps to remember why we're doing this. What are the main advantages?
Well, first and foremost, you'll start speaking much more naturally and smoothly.
That's the big prize, isn't it? Fluency.
Because when you're not constantly translating in your head, your speech just flows better. There are fewer awkward pauses, and that naturally makes you feel more confident.
It's like a positive cycle.
Exactly. The more smoothly you speak, the more confident you feel. And the more confident you feel, the more you'll want to practice and use the language.
That makes sense. Another benefit is that you start to understand English better too, right?
Definitely.
When you think in the same language that you're hearing or reading, things just seem to click more easily.
There's no extra step of mental translation getting in the way.
It's like you finally start experiencing English directly.
Yes, it starts to feel like a part of you, not something foreign.
And that's probably the ultimate goal.
Of learning any language. It's not just about speaking, it's about thinking and feeling in the language too.
Becoming one with the language.
And here's an interesting side effect. Learning to think in another language can actually help you understand your own native language better.
Really? How does that work?
When you learn a new language, you start noticing things like sentence structure, grammar, and different ways of expressing ideas. It makes you look at your own language with fresh eyes.
Like seeing something familiar for the first time. Cool.
And finally, let's not forget the social benefits. When you can think and communicate comfortably in English, you can connect with people from all over the world.
Travel becomes easier, you can make international friends, maybe get better job opportunities.
It really opens up a whole new world.
So, thinking in English isn't just about language skills, it's a key to connection and opportunity.
It broadens your horizons, and we shouldn't forget the joy of learning itself. Remember when we were kids learning our first language? We played with words, we experimented, we weren't afraid to sound silly.
We just enjoyed communicating.
We need to bring that sense of playfulness back.
How do we do that?
Choose content and activities you genuinely enjoy. Love cooking, watch English cooking shows, fascinated by space, watch documentaries in English. Let English become part of your fun, not just your study time.
When you're interested in the topic, your brain learns faster and remembers better.
And it feels less like work and more like fun.
What about when native speakers talk really fast and it's hard to understand?
That's where active listening really comes in handy again.
Not just hearing, but focusing on pronunciation, rhythm, intonation.
Yes, like listening to music, it's not just the single notes, but how they flow together.
How can we practice that skill specifically?
Choose those podcasts, audiobooks, or TED Talks, and don't be afraid to pause, rewind, or even slow down the speed if you need to. Use the tools available.
Like rewatching a scene in a movie to catch the details.
Exactly. Understanding is more important than speed. Another tip, take simple notes while you listen.
Write down new words or phrases you hear.
Yes, and maybe try to write a short sentence using them. Create your own little dictionary based on what you're hearing in context.
Like a personal phrase book.
Exactly. And that can be really helpful for remembering new vocabulary.
Okay, so we have active listening, taking notes. What else can we do to make thinking in English a more regular habit?
One simple but powerful trick is setting those reminders we talked about.
Reminders like little sticky notes around the house.
That can work, but you can also use technology. Set alarms on your phone or computer throughout the day. Just a quick buzz to remind you, hey, try thinking in English for a few minutes.
So it's like giving our brain a little nudge
Exactly.
to stay on track. I like that. What about those times when it feels like progress is just so slow?
I think everyone learning a language goes through that.
Yeah, it's easy to get discouraged, especially when you see other people who seem to be learning faster.
But it's so important to remember that everyone learns at their own pace, and comparing yourself to others usually just makes you feel bad.
So true. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Focus on your journey. Celebrate your milestones no matter how small they seem, and be patient with yourself.
Patience is key, and celebrating the small victories, like you said.
Definitely. Did you learn one new word today? Awesome. Were you able to have a short, simple conversation in English? Fantastic. Give yourself credit for those achievements.
Like giving yourself a little pat on the back.
Exactly. It's all about positive reinforcement.
Focusing on progress, not perfection.
Precisely. And speaking of perfection, it's crucial to let go of that need to be perfect.
Perfectionism, the fluency killer. It sets the bar so high that you're afraid to even try.
And remember, nobody is perfect. Even native speakers make slips of the tongue or small grammar mistakes sometimes. It's just part of communicating.
So mistakes are our friends, we decided.
Embrace them, learn from them, and keep moving forward.
What about those tip of the tongue moments we mentioned, when the word just won't come?
They can be frustrating, but instead of giving up or switching back to your native language, try to describe the word using other English words you know.
Like playing mental charades again.
Exactly. It keeps the conversation flowing, and it's great practice for thinking flexibly in English.
And it shows the other person that you're really trying to use the language.
Even when it's difficult, it shows engagement and a willingness to improve.
Embrace the tip of the tongue moments as practice.
What about accent? Do you think it's important to try and sound exactly like a native speaker?
That's a great question. Honestly, I don't think there's one right answer. Some people feel more confident trying to adopt a specific accent, while others are perfectly happy and clear with their own unique accent. The most important thing is clear communication and feeling comfortable yourself. Find your voice and own it.
I agree completely. And remember, there's no single perfect accent anyway. Native English speakers have hundreds of different accents and dialects. The beauty of language is in its diversity.
I like that. So let's celebrate our uniqueness and not be afraid to let our personality show through our English.
Absolutely. And speaking of personality, using the language expressively helps too.
You mean using more than just words, like your voice and body language to help convey meaning?
Exactly. Use intonation, facial expressions, gestures, anything that makes your communication clearer and more engaging.
Like adding color and spice to your language.
Great analogy. And speaking of spice, don't be afraid to use humor.
Tell jokes, be playful, have fun with the language.
Laughter is a universal language, right? It helps people relax, connect, and sometimes even helps you learn better.
Be expressive, use humor, and most importantly, be yourself.
Yes. And one more thing, the importance of silence.
Silence? How is silence important for improving speaking?
Silence can be a powerful tool. It gives you a moment to think, to process what you heard, and to formulate your thoughts in English before you speak.
So instead of feeling like you have to fill every pause with sound, embrace the pauses and let them work for you.
Pauses can add emphasis, create anticipation, and they also make you a better listener. Think of them like punctuation in a conversation.
Embrace the silence. Okay, what if someone feels like they just don't have time to practice all this? Life gets busy.
Good news, you don't need hours and hours every day. Even small pockets of time can be used effectively.
Like 5 minutes waiting in line or 10 minutes during your commute.
Exactly. Use those moments for flashcards, listening to a short podcast clip, or just thinking through your grocery list in English in your head.
Use every little opportunity. Seize the moment.
And remember, consistency is key.
Regular practice is more important than intensity.
Even a little bit of practice every day adds up significantly over time.
Like drops of water filling an ocean.
You could also find a language exchange partner or join a conversation group online or in person.
Practicing with real people in real situations.
And don't worry about making mistakes. Most people are very supportive, especially if they know you're learning.
Find a safe environment to practice without feeling judged.
The more you practice speaking, the more confident you'll become.
Like anything, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
What about visualization? Can that help with language learning too?
Visualization is super powerful. Try creating vivid mental images.
For example, when you learn the word beach, really picture it in your mind. Feel the sand, see the sun, hear the waves.
Like making a mini movie in your head for the word.
The more senses you involve in your mental image, the stronger the connection between the word and its meaning becomes.
So you're not just learning a word, you're experiencing it.
What about days when you feel really stuck? When your brain just refuses to think in English?
Everyone has those days. Be kind to yourself. It's okay to take a break. Sometimes stepping away from the language for a short while and coming back fresh is the best thing you can do.
Give yourself permission to rest and recharge.
Or just switch up your routine. If you've been doing a lot of reading, try listening to some English music. If you've been drilling grammar, watch a fun English movie.
Variety keeps things interesting.
And most importantly, don't give up. Learning a language takes time and effort, but the rewards are absolutely worth it.
Keep practicing, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself.
We've talked a lot about the mental side of thinking in English. What about the physical side? Does our body language actually affect how we think and speak?
Absolutely. Our body language and our mindset are definitely connected. It's a two-way street.
So if we stand tall and make eye contact, it can actually help us feel more confident and speak more clearly?
Exactly. It's not just about how you appear to others, it's about how you feel inside.
So, our posture can influence our thoughts and emotions?
Totally. Studies have shown that when we adopt powerful, confident postures, sometimes called power poses, our brains actually release chemicals like testosterone and dopamine, which make us feel more powerful and assertive.
So, it's like fake it till you make it?
Kind of, but it's more than just faking it. It's about creating a positive feedback loop between your body and your mind. When you feel confident, you project confidence. And when you project confidence, you start to feel even more confident.
A virtuous cycle. So, stand tall, shoulders back, make eye contact, and let your body help your brain feel more confident.
Yes, even small adjustments to your posture and how you carry yourself can make a difference.
Pay attention to posture, gestures, facial expressions. Got it. What about when your mind just goes completely blank in the middle of speaking English?
It happens to everyone. The first thing is, don't panic. Take a breath and remind yourself it's okay.
Deep breath, collect your thoughts.
Yes, and instead of saying, I forgot the word, try describing it like we talked about.
The mental charades technique again,
Exactly. It keeps the conversation moving and shows you can think creatively in English,
and it proves you're actively using the language.
even through challenges. It shows resourcefulness and a willingness to think outside the box.
Speaking of thinking outside the box, remembering that fluency isn't really a final destination, it's more of a continuous journey.
Yes, it's not about reaching some mythical point of perfection. It's about becoming increasingly comfortable and effective using the language over time.
Embrace the journey and enjoy the ride.
So, we've covered a lot today: the power of thinking in English, the challenges people face, and lots of different techniques to help make that shift.
It's been a really packed conversation. I've learned a lot myself.
And all these methods kind of work together, don't they? They create a more complete approach to language learning.
You don't have to pick just one. Find the combination that works best for you and create your own system.
And remember the power of consistency.
Even just a few minutes every day, reading an article, listening to a podcast episode, talking to yourself while you make coffee.
Those small moments add up.
I think the main takeaway is that language is so much more than just words and grammar rules.
It's about connection, culture, expanding your world, and becoming a more well-rounded person.
Beautifully said.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's episode.
We really hope you enjoyed our chat about thinking in English and feel inspired to start practicing it more often.
The power to become more fluent is inside you. Take the challenge. Start thinking in English today.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone.